Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalat wassalam ala Nabiyuna Rasulina Muhammad al-Mustafa wa ala alihi wa al-baytihi wa zuriyatihi wa man taba'ahum ila yawmiddin. Amma ba'd. So what follows, yesterday we were going through the ayat 16 and the 9 qualities I mentioned that people who stand in opposition, an individual or a nation or a group, they can exhibit or manifest these qualities. One of these, at least one or two of these qualities that we mentioned yesterday. And one correction, I said Khartoum. Khartoum is one of the pronunciation, and it is also pronounced as Khartoum. So it is pronounced with an A or with a U. Okay. The modern pronunciation of the capital of Sudan, they pronounce it with an A, Khartoum. In the Quran, it is pronounced with a Dhamma, Khartoum. Okay, that is just a correction for the note. So let us continue on ayat 17. Let us hear our reciter. Bismillah.
بلوناهم كما بلونا أصحاب الجنة إذ أقسموا ليصرمنها مصبحين ولا يستثنون.
Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna balawnahum. Inna balawnahum. Indeed, we have tried them. Indeed, we have tried them. Referring to the Arabs. Indeed, we have tried them. That is to say, we have tested them. That is the people of Mecca with drought and famine. Kama, as or in the same way, balawna, that we have tested ashab al-jannah. Ashab al-jannati. In the same way, we have tested the people of the garden. Okay, so Allah is saying that we have tested them, referring to the Quraysh, in the same way that we have tested the Ashabul Jannah, the people of the garden, or those who own the garden, Ashab, those the owners of the garden. Now, this is a very important point, although it's just a sentence. The Sunnah of Allah does not change. People who disbelieve and people who believe, you can expect from Allah a certain reaction. If you disbelieve, you can expect a certain action. If you believe, you can expect a certain action. Allah says He does not destroy a people until He sends a warner to them. Until He sends a warner. That is a sunnah. That is a sunnah of Allah. When we say sunnah, we mean that is Allah's custom. He acts in that particular way. And Allah said there is no change in His sunnah. Okay, so we can look out and expect a certain outcome once someone or a nation or a group of people take a certain path. We can expect these things to happen to them. In the same way Allah said to the believers, do you think that you will say, we believe, Amana, we believe, and not be tested. Do you think you could come and say, "He is a Muslim, I believe in Islam," and you will not be tested? This is what I say. And then Allah say we tested those before you. So that is the sunnah. So Allah is not picking on you. That is just his way of dealing with those who believe. He put them to test. And you can, so it's a comfort to you that, look, what is happening to me has happened to the community of and the believers individually and collectively of the Jamaat of Isa alayhi salam, the Jamaat of Musa alayhi salam, the Jamaat of Ibrahim alayhi salam, of all the prophets. I am in that number, as they say, when the saints go marching home, I'm in that number. So what affected them will affect me. I will be tested. How much is left up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the owners of the garden, when when they swore, they swore, they make an oath, la yusrimunnaha, when they vowed or they swore that they will pluck or pick the fruits. Okay, when they will do it, they will do it musbihin, in the morning. So Allah said that the people of the Jannah, Allah tested them as he tested the people of Mecca. Okay, when they took an oath, or they swore, or they swear, or they vow that tomorrow we're going to pick the fruits of that garden. So what is this all about? Okay, what is this really all about? Now, this people of the garden is connected to Surah Kaf. Surah Kaf, that is Surah 68. 68? No, Surah 32, sorry. Surah Kaf is Surah 32.
Surah Kaf is 18?
No, Surah Kaf is Surah 32. No, wait now. 18? Sorry. Surah Kaf, verse 32. Sorry. Oh, Lord. Surah Kaf, verse... Thank you, Sister Anissa. Good to have these women around. Okay, Surah Kaf, Ayat 32. Sorry. So let us go to Surah Kaf, Ayat 32. And I read. Okay, it is both stories are connected. So before we flesh out the story, let us see what is the connection. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, strike for them a parable of two men, to one of whom we assigned 2 vineyards, and surrounded them with palm trees, and set cultivated land between them. So Allah is said that he's striking a parable of 2 men who were given land. Okay, this land, they were vineyards, which means that they either grapes and those type of vine fruits, and he surrounded them with palm trees, and the land was cultivated. Okay? Both the garden produced their fruit and did not go wrong in any way. So the both gardens were very fruitful and they had no problem. and we caused a river to gush between them. So in adding to the gardens and the vegetation, everything that they also had water running in between them so that they can use to wet their produce. And the owner had fruit. He said to his partner, or his friend, when he spoke to him, I have more wealth than you, and I am stronger in my family. Again, these Arab like for wealth and large families, which gives them power. He entered his garden being wrong to himself. Okay, so the one who said that, he went to his garden while he has made a sin. Allah describe it as he wronged himself. Because sin in Islam is called a zulum. Zulum means a wrong. So it comes as if you have wronged yourself. You did something wrong to your own self. That is what sin is. He said, I do not think that this, meaning the garden, will ever perish. And I do not think that the hour is coming. You do not think that this thing will perish, that it will remain forever. And he did not think that one day that there will be day of resurrection. And as I told you before, the Arabs at this time did not believe in the hereafter. So he said he don't think that there is no consequences. There are no hour coming, nothing like that. And if I am returned, and he said, if I'm wrong, and there is, and if I am returned to my Lord, I shall find a better result than this. So what he's saying that, perchance, if there is an hour, and there is a day of resurrection, that he will meet Allah and find an even better garden. As if he's entitled to the garden without believing or anything else. So he said, look, I have so much rank in this life. Even if I die and the army and the hour come and we are resurrected and have to face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will give me a garden better than this. When he spoke to him, his friend told him, are you ungrateful to him who created you from dust and then from seed and then formed you as a man? So his friend, obviously, like he was somebody who had belief, and he told him, hey, are you ungrateful to him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your Lord, who created you from dust? I mean, you come from nothing, and then from a seed, planted in the bellies, in the belly of your mother, by a seed in your father, planted in the belly of your mother, and then the process of birth by the seed fertilizing the egg in the woman, and then you are formed in the womb, and then you emerge as a male. But he is Allah, my Lord. So this pious person recognized Allah as the moving factor in existence, and that we have to pay homage to him, and that we should not be puffed up with pride just because Allah has given something of his ni'mah, something of his grace unto us. And the grace is not only wealth. Allah might give you beauty, Allah might give you strength, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might give you what we call it, intelligence. And then we attribute all these things to ourselves, as if you made yourself beautiful, you made yourself strong, you made yourself intelligent. No, you have to relate all these things back to the creator of it and the Lord of it, the sustainer of it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But he is God, my Lord, and I associate no one with my Lord. So here is when you take pride in something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you as out of his ni'mah, out of his blessings and his grace unto you. If you associate that quality to yourself, then you are committing shirk. So that quality did not come from you. It didn't even come from your parents, because where your parents got it from, and where that parents got it from, and where that parents got it from, eventually it will return back in this chain back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so we should not associate some of the grace that Allah has given us to our own endeavors, but see it as a favor and a mercy from Allah, and therefore you should not be proud of it. Proud in the sense of attributing this quality to yourself. Okay, and you must always give Alhamdulillah. The praise belongs to Allah. And therefore, you will avoid committing shirk by associating someone to your Lord, which is you associating yourself to your Lord. But then the pious man said, you are not even responsible for your own creation. So how do you think that you are responsible for all this blessings and this grace that Allah has given you? You didn't himself make yourself. Okay, it was dependent upon certain factors that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has established in creation. And you were submitted to that process. Okay, so you don't have this rank that you think that you have, but then you should be thankful to Allah and recognize where the source of all these things come from. When you went into your garden, why did you not say Inshallah as Allah will? Okay, so when you go when you plan tomorrow I'm going to reap the crops, Inshallah. Tomorrow I'm going to school, Inshallah. So because none of us own the future, so we seek protection under Allah, and we said Inshallah that if Allah wants us to do that, then that is what is going to happen. Because you can make a plan, firm plans to do X, and then something else come up that is more important than X, and you are unable to accomplish X because Allah had something else in there. So you always put in Inshallah, and it should be part of our habit to be saying Inshallah. When you went into your gardens, why did you not say, garden, not gardens, why did you not say as Allah will? There is no power except Allah. La hawla wa la quwwata. Okay? You can say Inshallah, la hawla wa la quwwata. Inshallah, wa la hawla wa la quwwata. And then, wa la hawla wa quwwata illa billah, except with Allah. Okay, so that is part of our tawheed, that we recognize that we intend to do something tomorrow, and that thing can only happen if Allah wants it to happen. And not only that the power for me to accomplish that which I planned for tomorrow, that power, okay, that state of being to be able to carry out that function, okay, la quwwata, there's no power illa except billah. That power comes from Allah. In fact, literally it means that power is with Allah. You yourself have the power. The power to walk is billah, with Allah. The power to think is billah. The power to procreate is billah. If we think like that, you will see how you will have a different understanding of life, less stress, less madness, because people go mad when they have a conflict that they cannot resolve. Your brains fry and go into dysfunction. Okay, so when these things happen, we attribute it to Allah's will, and when and that the power to do these things is not from me. Okay, when I get up in the morning, the power to move, to do whatever I have to do, it comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that power is with him. I am only accessing that power. I'm only borrowing that power for the time period that I live on this planet. Okay, so this is very, very important. So when you read the Quran, you must look for these fine points. Okay, because the Quran, it in one statement, you might just read it and come to one opinion. But if you examine it piece by piece, you will see the depth that how Allah speaks, and you get deeper meanings from just I read, there's no power except Allah. Okay, and we continue. If you think that I'm inferior to you in wealth and children, okay, so if you think that I'm inferior because of Allah's will, and because of Allah's power that I am feeding on, if you think that Allah's will and I'm inferior just because I don't have what you have, as if what you have, you got it on your own. Well, you're responsible for that. It is nothing but a grace. Allah was grateful. Allah was gracious to you for whatever reason we don't know. Okay, Allah was gracious to you, and you were able to gather all this wealth, and you were able to have children and power in your society, and that comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you think that because of that you are bigger than everybody else, and everybody else is inferior to you, okay, and as I'm saying this, is not only wealth and children. It could mean any gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you as a human being. Okay, there's any gift. Because all of us are born with some type of gift that comes from Allah. There are people who are born and they are artists from birth. People who born, they can sing from birth. Nobody taught them that. Okay, there are people who pick up speech very fast, very talkative, and all these things Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them. Then he said, perhaps my Lord will give me something better than your garden, and perhaps he will send on your garden a thunderbolt from heaven, and it will become like smooth soil. So he said that. So the pious guy told him, perhaps my Lord Allah, he attributed to Allah, will give me better than you, something better than you, better than your garden. So while you have this garden and wealth, perhaps Allah may give me something better than that. It is in the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So don't be boastful of that garden as if that is the end it, or you are the most strong person because you have this. There are other qualities that Allah might bestow on some people. There are some people with wealth and they have companies, but they're dunce. They can't run it. Okay, and they have to get people who are educated, who might come from poor families, but Allah gave that poor family an intelligent son or daughter, and that intelligent son or daughter is employed by someone who was given wealth, and that intelligent person build that company far beyond the owner of the company, who may not have that ability. He just have the wealth, or she just have the wealth. these things goes on. These things go on, and these things are fact of life. So Allah said that perhaps, Allah will give me something better than your garden, and perhaps He will destroy your garden. Perhaps He will destroy your garden with a thunderbolt from the heavens, and it will become like smooth soil. It will destroy all the produce, everything flat. Or in the morning, its water will be lost in the ground, or the water that came out of the earth, the river, it could go dry. Okay, and you will not be able to access that water no more, or even dig other wells. You might dig other wells, and that whole area has become dry. And his fruit was encompassed, and the fruits, all the produce from these luscious trees would also destroy. And in the morning, his fruit was encompassed. So in the morning, we leave the righteous man warning him, and then the event now, and that in the morning, his fruit were actually destroyed. And he was wringing his hands over what he has spent on it. He said, boy, look, I spent all this money, pay workers and buy feed and everything, and look at this, everything destroyed. So in the morning, he was wringing his hands over what he has spent on it, for it had collapsed on the trellises. So the whole thing collapsed. The vineyard, you have trellis. You build something for them the vines to run. So in the morning, all that fall down. Everything mash up, everything destroy, all the fruits, everything. Okay? And he was saying, would that I had not associated anyone with my Lord. So he started to he began to get regrets, that I should not have committed that shirk and attribute all these things to me. Because look what happened. Just as I had no power to bring myself into being, I didn't have power to stop the destruction of my garden. And he said, and then Allah, the verse continue, he had no group to help him apart from Allah. So he had nobody. He had no spirit, no human, nothing that he could have access to help him, or to stop this event happening to him, except Allah. That apart from Allah, there was no help. Nobody could have done anything, and he was helpless. Allah continue. Protection there belongs only to Allah, the true. He is better for reward and better for consequences. So this whole parable, or this whole story Allah pointed to, is connected to this. So we have here now that these people, they were tried with a garden, and that they swore, okay, they had a vow that they will pick its fruits in the morning. So similar situation, there's this garden with some rich people with a similar garden that Allah has described, and they vow, we're going to pick that fruit in the morning. No inshallah. No inshallah. And they say, what time of the morning? Musbihin, early morning. Why early morning? Because they don't want the poor people in the community to see them harvesting the fruit. So that perhaps if the poor people see them harvesting the fruit, the poor people will come and ask for their due. So they didn't want none of the poor people to come and ask them for anything. So they get up very early in the morning, so that nobody will notice them. when all the poor people were asleep. Perhaps they went to sleep hungry and they just snuck out sleeping. And they didn't want to give any charity, from the fruit that they will get. So in Surah Kahf, I just read, all of these things are a teaching lesson, okay, for us about the owners of the two gardens. Now, this story stems from the arrogant chiefs of Mecca. Okay, this story came about in Surah Kahf 18, about the 32 to 44, that it came about due to the arrogant attitude of the chiefs of Mecca. And they were told that the poor companions, they looked down on the poor companions. Some of them say they wanted to become Muslims and they wanted to join this movement of Islam. But they want to come into Islam and they do not want to mix with the poor believers, that they should carry that same rank that they had in Kufr into Islam. Now, this was on account of their pride and arrogance. Okay, because the Prophet ﷺ said that if a man was gold in the dunya, and when he comes to Islam, he'll be even a better refined gold. Okay, so if you are a leader as a non-Muslim and you enter Islam, you'll be even a better leader and refined. Refined how? Because of your submission to the deen. But these fellas just think too highly of themselves. They don't want to. They want to come, but they want automatic rank and not going through the mill of learning and refining themselves. Okay, it wasn't automatic. So they looked down on the poor Sahabas around the Prophet Sallallahu, and they even said that that they should be chased away, discard them, just in order to please them, so that they will enter Islam. They wanted a big role in the early movement and mission of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu over the poor companions, in exchange for them giving the Shahada to the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu and being part of Islam and the Islamic Dawah and the Islamic movement in Quraysh Arabian society. This is what they wanted. This is the condition they made for themselves. And we have people like that today. Okay, they see the truth of Islam, but they don't want to hang out with these people who are Muslims. All them fellas who want this one make jail, and that one was that, and this one is a poor man. Okay, they don't want to hang out with those kind of people. Okay, but Malcolm X which one of us make more jail than Malcolm X? Okay, and do all kind of haram thing that like Malcolm X. Okay, but when he came in Islam, that leadership quality was refined. Okay, and he rose to heights. Okay, that his former self, it is as if it is two different people. Okay, it is as if it is two different people that you are dealing with. Okay, Detroit Red and Malcolm X, same person, two different periods of their life. So this is also important because many revolutions, okay, the word revolution comes from the word to revolve. If you revolve, if you revolve like this, you start here and you end back up here. That's why most revolutions that we have in this world, when the poor people rise up against the oppressive class and they change the society, Okay, 99.9% of the time, that same class come back into power under the guise of revolution. And the poor people are still left out. That's why a lot of Muslims don't use the word revolution. Okay? A lot of Muslims, scholars, they don't use that word. Because most time you just replace a face, but it's the same class of people that come back into power. Okay? And you change faces, but the same class system and the same people who inhabit those classes is re-established, but re-established under the revolutionary flag and continue their wealth. So before they were wealthy, and after the revolution, they were also wealthy because their class status has not changed. Okay, and that is why many revolutions fail. Because when you have the revolution and you fail to address the inequality in the society, in the inequalities in land ownership, that is when the whole thing falls down. Unless you don't address the inequalities in society, there'll always be a problem. No matter how much gun you have, no matter how much shots you shoot, whatever you do, right? Change has to attack the inequalities in the society, else you will have no change. All you will have is what? Exchange. And that's what revolution is about. That's an exchange. Okay, so in our society, there are levels of inequality. That is why people can point out a group of people in the society as the 1%. Okay, 1%. All of us are 0%. And that is they are 1%. It means that they command the heights of the economy. They are politically influential. They are they have the allegiance of the military in terms of influence because of their money and their powerful political, social, and economical connections. This is a fact. This is a fact. The first idea of policing was just to police to protect the interests of the landowners. That is what police come from. Okay? But when society became larger, it took on a different role. Because things change and evolve. Okay, but originally it was to protect the interests of the ruling class. In Islam, there's a word for police, shurta, but there's a modern word. The original idea was called Hizbah. Okay, there was a Hizbah, and even Omar had appointed a woman as the Hizbah for the market. She was the person who is concerned with all the affairs of the market to make sure nobody fix their scales and nobody overcharge and oppress people, give you water for milk. Throw water in your milk, and make it, you stretch it with water. And so Hizbah kept up the standard. It's like a check. Okay, so our form is a check. You check the evil in societies. That is what our policing is. A Hizbah is a check. Because when you have big societies, you must have checks and balances. You must have checks and balances. You check the excesses of people who became violent. And they go to an excess where they murder people, they kill people, or they beat people, they steal from people. All of these are excesses in the community. And Allah, the Muslims have developed this system of check and balance. Okay, to check the issue and bring back the balance of the society, so the society will not be destroyed. Because if you don't check certain things in society, the whole society can become rotten. And not just a big society, in your Jamaat, in your family, it must have checks and balances. But in a community, you will have people in charge of security, that is the Hisbah. They will make sure things go right and check and balance. And they will not be used as weapons against the other members of the group. You know, where they become a thug, okay, and only concerned with the affairs of the imam or the elders in the society or those who are in the leadership, right? Because the Hizbah can even check the leadership. That's what deep Islamic contract, social contract is. I tell you, we far away because we are so much naps. You know, we are telling me, boy, I just so and so, I this and that. You know, in Islam is not about that. Okay, Khalid ibn Walid had did something, and Umar sent Bilal to check him. Bilal went to him. You know, this man is a commander of the army, a brave soldier. You know, fight for Islam. Had the respect of thousands of soldiers, strong men. And Bilal walked up to him and took off his turban and tied him in the turban and carried him back to Umar. He arrested him. And Khalid didn't jump up, boy, who you, boy? I Khalid, boy, real bad, boy. We come here, you only calling Azana and you telling me you come to grab, what's wrong with you? And men jump up and say, yeah, but you can't do what commander. They didn't have that level of nonsense. Because Islam was their character. That kind of attitude came later in Islamic history and has caused a lot of bloodshed in our history. Okay, because they did not refine themselves properly. That's why a man came to Ali and said, how come, you know, in your time we didn't have all this confusion between Muslims and all this thing going on? He said, because Rasulullah Sallallahu was in charge of men like me. And today I'm in charge of men like you. So the man who bring the complaint, he was part of the problem. Okay, so that's why the Prophet ﷺ said that when somebody say the people have perished, you know, in our local way we say the people have gone through. The Prophet ﷺ, that man who's saying that, he's the one that gone through more than perished more than anybody else. Because if you recognize the problem, then you should be actively engaged in solving the problem, not just complaining. You know, it are people that just complain. This ain't good, that ain't good, that thing, that and that. But they are not actively involved in changing it. So them worse than the people who they are condemning. You know, so these are the social aspect of our deen, and you can see it if you are a thinking person. You can observe these things in communities. You know, in Islamic communities. You know, because in Islamic community you will have all these type of people. Trust me, all these type of people in the Quran, you'll have them. So the people who were rich and powerful, they thought that they are enjoying a form of paradise on earth. Okay, and they were not concerned about any other thing or any other paradise in the hereafter. As I told you, they didn't believe in the existence of the hereafter. So kufr is not only saying I do not believe in Allah. Because if you notice in the story in this section that we read in here on Surah Qalam, the people were Muslims, right? In the other story, one appeared like he wasn't a Muslim. Okay, no. In the story in Kaf, one appeared to be two of them were Muslims, but one was like he was half stepping. Over here now, in Surah Qalam, it is directed to people who it appears who are not Muslims. Okay, but in the two stories, they were exhibiting something very similar. Okay, so kufr is not only somebody who don't believe in Allah, but if you deny the hereafter, as the man said that, you know, when he if you go to Allah, may Allah give something better, but you don't believe that will happen, right? But at the end, you say, if only he had believed in Allah and not committed that act. So that sounds like somebody was a believer, you know, but his belief about the hereafter was not strong. It was almost as if he just believed in Allah, but he don't see anything about him being or will be held accountable for his deeds. So those people who believe that their wealth and power is due to their own achievement alone, and that it wasn't a favor from Allah, that is also shirk. So coming back to the story in Qalam now. So they went out to pick the fruit early in the morning without saying inshallah. Then Allah sent a punishment from himself and caused the gardens to be destroyed while they were asleep. And in the morning, okay, it was lying fallow, like, you know, nothing. But before all of that, before they realized that has happened to their garden, they call out to each other. Okay, in this surah now, they call out to each other, saying, "Go to your field, so that you will pick your fruits." So they left for the field early in the morning, and they were whispering, "No poor person shall enter upon you in your garden today." So in this column here, they didn't realize Allah already visited their garden with punishment. And when they got up early in the morning now, Musbihin, okay, they were telling mother, "Hey, you're going to the garden." And when they were on the way, they were whispering. They don't want nobody to hear them. They don't want the poor people to realize people going somewhere, or, you know, something going to happen, you know. And they say, "Go to your fields, so that you will pick your fruits." Okay, so they left for the fields, and while they were going to the fields, they were whispering, "Do not let no poor people enter upon you in your garden today, because if they come, they will be asking for something." Finally, when they reached the garden, they saw that it was destroyed. It was destroyed. So they said to themselves, "We are deprived." Okay, we are deprived. But those who Ausat, meaning the upright ones among them, said, "Did I not tell you? Okay, why do you not glorify Allah?" Okay, why do you not glorify Allah? So that is a combination of the two stories I was just explaining there. So let us come back now to ayat 18. Wala yastathnun. Okay, so remember the story, and Allah says, and they go to the garden and they plan all these things for the morning, and they did not make any exception. They did not think that something, you know, may happen to the garden, but did not think that they have to access Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So ayat 19, فَطَوْفَ عَلَيْهَا طَائِفٌ min rabbika. Then a visit from your Lord. So Allah said, sent a visit, like Allah didn't say what type of visit he sent. Okay, and it visited the farm, and in that case, in column, the farm was visited with a fire. and the fire consumed everything during the night. Wahum na'imun, while they were sleeping. So while they were sleeping, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent a visitor. And that visitor was a fire. And it destroyed all of their property. So let us hear some of the recitation.
فلا يستثنون فطاف عليها طائف من ربك وهم نائمون.
Okay, that's the one I just read. Okay, they were na'imun. Na'im is to sleep. They were na'imun. So while they had in their hearts all the wickedness that they were planning, they had in their hearts, they had in their hearts what they're going to do tomorrow. And when they got up and they set out to even to go to the farm, they reached the farm as yet, not knowing what has happened, because they were sleeping at night. They didn't know what happened. And they were plotting and planning, whispering to each other, don't speak too loud. You don't want nobody hear us. And don't know, so that they will come and then they will ask us for some of the fruits of the garden. Okay. So we continue to ayat 20.
فأصبحت كالصريم.
فأصبحت كالصريم. So by the morning, okay, by the morning time, it was as if sarim, because of somebody take off the mic, please. Because of the disaster. Somebody check your mic, please. Can you check your mic, please? Right. So what had happened? Throw me off. What had happened is that when they come in the morning, when something happened bad, the whole day does look kind of gloomy. That's what happened. When they came in the morning, it was like a gloomy morning. Okay, it was gloomy, it was dark. Okay, as if it was night. It was this is how the disaster appeared to them when something bad happened. Sometimes the whole day look gloomy. It's the best expression I can say about that word sarim. Okay, so we continue. Okay, so Allah is describing these people now, what happened to them. Okay, these people who were rich and owned the garden. So we continue to ayah 21.
فتنادوا مصبحين.
Okay, فتنادوا مصبحين. Then they call out to one another in the morning. Okay, so that darkness at the field, okay, Allah, it was there even before they understood what happened. Okay, so they call out to one another in the morning. What did they say?
أن اغدوا على حرثكم إن كنتم صارمين فانطلقوا وهم
So what anigdu ala harthikum, say, go forth to your field, which means the produce of the field. This sentence is like a sentence that makes clear, okay, the sentence that went before it. Okay, remember Allah said that fatanadaw, they call out to each other in the morning. And what did they call out and say? Anigdu, go forth to your field, or to to your ala harthikum, to your produce, sorry, to the field, which means that the object of going to the field was to harvest the produce. So this ayat 22, okay, is what we call the answer to the to what they call out and said to each other. In kuntum, okay, in kuntum sorimin. If you are to pick the fruit, okay. So let's put it together. They call out each other in the morning, and they telling them, go forth to your field and pick your produce. And that sentence is connected to what they call out to each other and said. You know, and continue to say, in kuntum sorimin, if you intend to be among those who harvest, who pick the fruits, meaning those who pick the fruits of their field. So this sentence is what we call a conditional sentence. Go out and visit your field if you intend to harvest the crops. Okay, so all these sentences are connected to each other. Go out, where are you going out? If you're going out to what? Pick the fruits. And that is just for the people who are doing Arabic grammar. Okay, that this is the reason Allah said that the person who was telling them to go out and to keep quiet and all these different things, that if you intend to pick your fruits, then you go out. Fantolaku wahum yatakhafun. Okay, so off they went. Okay, fantolaku, tolaka, like they went walking. Fantolaku, they went. Wahum, and they yatakhafu, yatakhafatun. They were speaking very secretly. Okay, they were speaking very secretly. So we'll stop here, and tomorrow we'll continue the story of what they were plotting in their hearts. Right? But the whole field was done already gloomy. Like when a disaster happened in a place, and they were not aware of it. They plotted and going and have the intention to pick. Okay, and when they left, they were even whispering. Yata khafatun, they was whispering to each other. We know why they were whispering, because they didn't want to hear the poor, anybody among the poor, to realize that, hey, these men going out early in the field. Let me go out there and see what I can get. Okay, so this was the attitude that they had. So these two stories are lessons for us. Okay, these two stories are lessons for us. The one in Surah Kaf, Allah say, is a parable, and this one here actually happened. Okay, so we learn lessons, from these things that can assist us in our how we live our life, and in our attitude to the whatever gifts that Allah was gracious to us. Okay, Allah gave us gifts, and how we deal with these gifts, and how we perceive these gifts, and the kind of impact these gifts has on us, and our understanding of and our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Quran brings these things in focus. And I'm saying, although the story is about a field and gardeners, okay, it can relate to any other thing of from among the gifts that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have given you. Okay, so yes, it deals with the field, but you can extract lessons, you can extract principles, you can extract how to behave properly from these stories, whether they were a parable or they actually happened. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that he can punish you and he punished those before you. So some people feel, well, those things only happened in the days of Moses and in the day of Isa, Jesus, alayhi salam, and in the days of the Prophet Muhammad. We are in modern times, these things will not happen to us. So by that now, we regulate Allah to Asatirul Awwalin, stories of the old, stories that went in the past. The only reason many of us, non-Muslims and Muslims, do not see and realize how Allah's Sunnah is still at work, because we are clouded in our own nafs, and we are clouded in our weak belief, and we are clouded because we have not exposed ourselves to enough knowledge, so that with the knowledge and the spirituality now, we are able to see the problems in society. We are able to see the problem in society. And if we are able to see those problems, then we can find solution to the problems. That is why the Prime Minister the other day, with this whole thing with the SCA, and this whole, not SCA, that security, that governmental security, like our local CIA, and the crime in the communities, and the problem with our youths, he told the Baptist people to come up with some kind of solution. He expects that these people who are supposed to have some sort of connection with spirituality, because they have vision, as they claim they see this and they go on moon and ground, all these things. He tell them to come up with something to solve the situation, which means he recognizes in his own self there are people in society who, because of their spirituality, supposed to be able to penetrate the problem in society and bring back a solution. And each society have that. America, they have people who are official astrologers, right? When is the best time to make a law? When is the best time to fight? When is the worst time to fight? The Hindus have the pundit. In the traditional African religion, they do divination. They access the spirit to find out if it's a good time to do this, if it's a good time to do that, and what the outcome might be, how to solve the situation. Okay, and in Islam, we're supposed to have those people who have that knowledge and connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are not just donkey carrying books, but they supposed to have the spiritual capacity, okay, to understand the problem in society. And first thing, understand the problem. Second thing, bring forth solutions to solve the problems that the society faces. Very important. And all leaders recognize this. All leaders. They have even King Arthur had Merlin. Every society, they have these people who they associate with people who are able to penetrate and see beyond the mundane politics and everything in society. Okay, and in Islam, we have poor people But if we do not train and develop the tools that we have, they might depend on some jinn. Okay, but we are supposed to go straight back to Allah, going to teach us how to deal with that particular problem and to bring a solution. Okay, so this is the thing that we can take from this ayat 23 as the end of it, and we continue tomorrow as to the discussion that we're going on. So far, we can take these jewels from these ayats, inshallah. So we will end here, inshallah, and I will take any questions, please.
I will defer it until tomorrow. There's a clarification, really, because it's almost time to break the fast. So,
Okay.
just a clarification with something in Surah Al-Kahf I wanted.
Okay, no problem.
Inshallah.
Okay, so inshallah, we'll end. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope I see you tomorrow. And may Allah bring us together again, inshallah. With us, inshallah, because ila ladina amanu wa aminu solihat. Tawassul bil-haq, tawassul bis-sabr. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Have a good suhoor.
Same to you. Iftar.
Yeah.